What's up, everybody? Welcome to the State of Wild, episode 142, a regular YouTube video web series podcast thingy. My name is Meowth, and as usual, I'm joined by two good friends and co-host Roffle and Corbett. You guys, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great, but there's no time to waste, so we've got cards to review, right?
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, we've got a billion cards. Let's dive right on into it. Let's talk about Death Knight. So one of the big things for Death Knight are these plague mechanics. And so basically, you have a bunch of these things. Let's say shuffle a random plague into your opponent's deck. It's going to shuffle one of these three spells. So you got Frost Plague, take 2 damage. The next card you cast costs 1 more. Up to 10 mana, caps at 10. You got Blood Plague, take 2 damage, restore 2 health to the enemy hero. And Unholy Plague, so take 2 damage, summon a 2/2 for your opponent. So you shuffle a bunch of these spells, and then you have a bunch of payoffs for that. And so we're going to kind of lump these all together. We're going to throw them all up on the screen. And kind of go from there in our discussion. So I'm going to read out a bunch of cards. Let's start with a 1-mana weapon called Staff of the Primus. 1-mana 1/3 weapon, 2 Unholy Runes. After your hero attacks, shuffle a random plague into your opponent's deck. Seems pretty good. You got Distressed Cavaldier, 2-mana 3/2 undead, 2 Unholy Runes. Shuffle Death Rattle, shuffle 2 random plagues into your opponent's deck. You got Down with the Ship, 2-mana 1 Frost, 1 Unholy. For a Shadow spell, deal 3 damage to a minion. If it dies, shuffle 2 random plagues into your opponent's deck. All right, keep going. You got the Legendary. Hell yeah. 4-mana 4/4 Battle Cry. Shuffle all 3 plagues into your opponent's deck. Plagues they draw this game are unending.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
The classic case of a Legendary card not really, explaining what it does. Basically, when they draw that plague, it goes back into their deck. Am I assuming that's how that works? Kind of like Bloods?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bloods, but they don't multiply.
Yeah. We got Tomb Trader. 4-mana 4/3, 1 Frost, 1 Unholy. Battlecry. Destroy a plague in your opponent's deck to deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. So this is similar to that Soul Shard card in Demon Hunter. And then we got our giant baby. 11-mana 8/5, 1 Unholy Rune. Rush Reborn. Cost 1 less for each plague shoveled into the enemy deck this game. All right, I just read out like a million cards, and we can kind of maybe lump Frozen Over into this because it's a way to get your opponent to draw plagues. And that is a 2-mana Frost spell, 1 Frost Rune required. Both players draw 2 cards. Your opponents cannot play them next turn. So essentially a research project, but with a little bit of a downside for the opponent. Maybe a way to get your opponent to draw plagues. All right, that's like a billion cards that I just read out. Does this package seem wild playable to you guys?
No. There are 2 things that are kind of rougher right off the gate. You're pretty much, because you need to commit like a lot of card slots to increase the density of the plagues in your opponent's deck, you probably want to run all of them. Some of them not being great, like Distressed Cavaldier as a Death Rattle feels bad. Staff of the Primus as a 2 Unholy feels a little bit bad because you're kind of committed to double Unholy 1 Frost if you want to run all of the pieces here. And I don't know, those like half and half type archetypes generally don't do well. Then you've also got the Staff of the Primus and Jane Guardian as odd cost cards, so you can't run this in an even deck, and it's just got like a lot of anti-successful Death Knight things going for it is really what it comes down to. That said, I'm going to play it. We have Augmented Elic in Wild, so I'm going to shuffle a bunch of things in. As somebody who's played a lot of decks of this type, both like Curse of Agony, Warlock, and Bomb Warrior, they're incredibly inconsistent. It doesn't matter how many cards you make them draw with something like Frozen Over. You don't win the game off the back of them. But I'm going to try anyway. Like, I don't know. It's fun. I like these types of strategies, even if they aren't successful. I think Frozen Over is like printed for this reason, but like it's probably going to find more success out of this style of deck than within it, just because like I don't think the style of deck has proven to be effective for the most part in outside of like the unique case that was standard Bomb Warrior for a while.
Yeah, I don't get too anchored in a similar archetype that we've seen before, because I think that can sometimes lead you to underrating cards. It's the Corridor Creeper syndrome, where it feels like something that you've seen a little bit before, and then it's easy to, dismiss it. So I'm trying to avoid that with the whole shuffle mechanic, because like the fact that you do shuffling so much changes the feel and the play of a deck like this, because you're not shuffling like one card in. It's like 3 cards with the plague weapon, and then you get like the hell yeah means that they go back into the deck constantly as well. So you can definitely flood the deck a lot heavier. That said, yeah, these 2 good cards are odd costed. So
yeah,
that's
the 2
bad.
Arguably the 2 best cards are odd cost.
Yeah, so that's a problem, because I actually think a mechanic like this might even be better suited to Wild, due to a lot of the combo decks trying to draw through their entire deck or shutting off Reno decks. I don't know. There's definitely like some unique application where it's like actually better to be playing this type of shuffle strategy. But yeah, the fact that these is odd costed means that I'm not interested, because I don't think you can get away with just playing the even costed ones. I think this is usually the type of thing where it's all in or all out, and you can't go all in on this thing.
Yeah, until the mini set where we get a couple more even cost cards, right? Sure.
No, they need a nerf staff and then buff Chained Guardian. I don't know how that's going to work functionally, but that's what they have to do here.
Yeah.
Well, they simply nerf Chained Guardian to 12 mana.
Oh, okay.
And the Staff of the Primus to 2 mana, and then it's probably solved.
Let's do it.
That'll solve all of our problems, right? Now, it is interesting. Like, there are actually some pretty strong standalone cards, right? Obviously, we talked about Staff of the Primus. It's a 1 mana 1/3 with a lot of upside, potentially dealing 9 damage, right? With the 6 off of the plagues. The Chained Guardian is just like that's a nuts payoff, right? Again, I don't know where you're gonna see this in Wild. I think is the hugest issue, because like it doesn't even fit into a Reno deck, because you want to play duplicates of all of these cards. So it'll be interesting to see if I don't want to call it a fair Death Knight deck in Wild, but like if a non-gen fair Death Knight deck in Wild, I don't know. Like it took a while, but we finally got there with Demon Hunter. Are these cards powerful enough to maybe do it for Death Knight? We'll see. Probably not, but we'll see.
No.
All right, we do have a couple of other cards to talk about here. We've got Northern Navigation. It's a 2 mana frost spell, 1 frost rune requirement. 2 mana, discover a spell from your deck. If it's a frost spell, freeze a random enemy minion. So it's kind of similar to, what is it called, Arcane Quiver in Hunter, or something like Shadow Visions in Priest. We're getting a lot of these kind of effects. Are there super impactful frost spells that are seeing play in Wild outside of like Frostworm's Fury? Like, does this go in your even frost Death Knight deck?
We're just getting closer to the Ice Revenant deck. And like, as the prophecy foretold, we will soon get there.
Thrive isn't particularly good.
No.
And this isn't particularly good either. Like, I probably would have even preferred to see this with if it's a frost spell. Just like dropped. Just like get rid of that little requirement, because I don't really think this is playable. It's not like you're looking for specific cards a lot of the time in Death Knight. It needs to be a lot more tempo oriented. It's not like Big Priest, right, where you're kind of just looking for one specific card to do the big swing turn, and nothing else really matters. In Death Knight, it's a lot more even. Well, no pun intended, but a lot more like spread out in power level and power spikes. So yeah, Thrive doesn't really live up to 2023 standard in most cases.
Yeah, that is a good distinction to point out. It is Thrive, not Shadow Visions, right? It'll take the card out of your deck rather than discovering a copy. So that is my bad. All right, the last card here for Death Knight, we have Eulogizer. 3 mana, 3/3 undead, Battlecry. Spend 3 corpses to deal 3 damage. Forge. Gain 3 corpses instead. It's a 3 mana card. 3 mana, 3/3, deal 3. Doesn't seem super exciting. So
yeah, it's not even just that it's a 3 mana card. It's that like the Forge doesn't really. I feel like oftentimes Death Knight is not looking for a way to gain corpses, but a way to spend corpses. So like, why you're spending 2 extra mana so that you can, I don't know, like it
makes sure that Grave Strength is online.
Right, I guess. I think it's maybe like, I think it's a fine like splashable card if you need to spend corpses for some reason. If we get something similar to like a CNE in the future or whatever, like if you just need to spend corpses, it's fine.
Yeah. Important to note that it does not have a rune requirement attached to
Right.
that. So yeah. All right, let's move to Druid here. The big thing for Druid this expansion, Treant support, baby. That Mulch Muncher's time has come. Don't even remember the name of that card properly. But lots of Treant Druid support here. So I'm gonna start with just reading out a bunch of cards again. So Forest Seedlings, 1 mana 1/1 or 1 mana spell. Sorry, summon 2 1/1 saplings. Blossoms in 2 turns. So that means that if this sits in your hand for 2 turns, on that 3rd turn, it turns into a brand new spell. And the brand new spell, it's called Forest Blossoms, that summons 2 2/2 Treants for 1 mana. And that's a little thread or a trend we're going to see with the Druid spells or Druid cards. We've got Conservator. I don't even know how to say this. Conservator Nymph? Ugh, English is hard. Conservator Nymph, 3 mana 3/4. Battlecry, transform a friendly Treant into a 5/5 Ancient with Taunt. So those 5/5 Ancients getting Taunt is, I think, a huge buff to the whole Treant package that we've seen from the past. We have Ancient of Growth, 7 mana 5/5. Choose one, summon 3 2/2 Treants, or transform your Treants into 5/5 Ancients with Taunt. And then last but not least, and maybe the most powerful, Cultivation. 8 mana nature spell, give your minions +2/+2, cost 1 less for each Treant you have summoned this game. All right, we've got some Treant support coming. Again, is it finally Mulch Muncher's time? Treant Druid real, finally? We got a lot of Treant cards.
I think the one that really is even worth considering, like if I were to build Treant Druid today, I would probably consider maybe 2 of these cards. One of them though is actually like a true and proper payoff in Cultivation, because that card seems silly, especially if you like run Spirit of the Forest or whatever. Like you can get a lot of trees going. Forest Seedlings is also like tempting, but it feels like just a less flexible Living Roots in some way, because like if this is sitting in your hand, that means you're not playing it, and you're not playing it as like a board-based aggressive deck like Treant Druid wants to be. And so like even if you keep it, that means you're keeping it in addition to another 1 mana turn. You're not playing it on turn 2, and then you're finally playing it on turn 3, but like the deck has an abundant, like it just doesn't feel like it plays nice with what the deck is wanting to do a lot of the times. And then some of the other things where you convert your Treants into Ancients, those have been really bad in the past. We saw it with Tree Speaker. But maybe the Taunt will save it, because Taunt actually means that it like makes a more immediate impact on the board. The problem with like the Tree Speaker is they just end up with Summoning Sickness again, so you can't like value trade with them. So that is a bit of an improvement, but there are better things you can do with 7 mana. There are better things. I don't know, maybe the Conservator Nymph is just like turn your turn 2 into a 5/5. That's pretty good.
Looking at the Treant cards in general, it's probably a little bit better than I was giving credit for in my head. Like, there's a lot of 1 mana summoner 2/2 stuff going on in the early game. You do have like the bad Merkspark Eel in Natural Causes. Hopefully that means that you can get the Nymph on curve, right? Like if you just play 1 drop into Natural Causes and then you just play the Nymph on curve, like that's a pretty decent aggressive opener. I am concerned that like the cultivation isn't going to be online fast enough if you are spending mana on something like Conservator Nymph. So that's a little bit of a downside. But yeah, I don't know. Forest Seedlings, 2-turn wait probably isn't as bad as it might seem at first. Hopefully you just have other plays, and but like 1 mana for a 4/4 worth of stats, and to accelerate a lot of your Treant cards with Mulch Muncher and Nymph, or Cultivation. Like, I think that's not too bad. So I'm actually a little bit more open to Treant Druid than I was expecting, especially because we have Blood Treant as well. Like, that's just another way where we can really aggressively get on board, and that can help a ton as well.
I having played Treant Druid recently, Blood Treant is good, but the rest of a lot of the other cards in the deck are not. So hopefully this can change it. I think what it was really missing was something like an arbor or a cultivation on top of like an arbor up, just because like it arbor up is awkwardly timed for where the deck is actually beginning to gain a footing on board, because it's usually like maybe a turn too late. This can help you like set up for an arbor up turn by maybe going, a turn or two, like turn forward this, take some value trades into arbor up and win the game that way.
Yeah. I will say, Train Druid now kind of has all the aspects of broken decks in the past, where you have like the 0 mana draw twos with stuff like Aeroponics. You got the 0 mana payoffs with Mulch Muncher and Cultivation. You just have like some insanely strong cards like Arbor Up. And so I'm wondering, like, my initial impression is like you play this as like a spell token deck, similar to what we've seen in the past, kind of focusing on all the spells that summon Trance. Then you get all the huge payoffs. That means you probably don't want to play Nymph, because it's like, I'm assuming like 28 spells plus 2 Mulch Munchers is what I'm thinking. Allows you to play stuff like Fungal Fortunes, allows you to turn through that deck. So I don't know, we'll see. Token Druid, I think, has been, it's been a while since it's been kind of relevant in Wild. But that being said, like, Warlock's not around. There's not a ton of removal. Maybe a token deck, now that we've got a couple more payoffs, can find a footing. All right, we got a couple other Druid cards that I want to talk about. Let's start with one that I saw kind of a pretty visceral reaction to, because people do not like playing against Tony Druid, and this card seems kind of perfectly tailor-made for Tony Druid, and that is Lifebinders Gift. 2 mana nature spell. Choose one, get 2 random nature spells. More importantly, reduce the cost of spells in your hand by 1, kind of allowing you to preload a discount. It's very similar to something like Palm Reading or Siphon Mana, all of which are pretty good cards. And so, how are we feeling about Lifebinders Gift?
I think people are maybe overreacting a little bit in terms of this card in the context of Tony Druid specifically. Just because, like, is usually just getting enough mana to play the Auctioneer, so getting to 6 mana. This doesn't actually get you to the, like, Auctioneer a turn faster often. Like, maybe it makes your Bio Project 0 mana so that you can, like, play it for 0 mana, then play the Auctioneer, then go. So sometimes it will get you there a little bit faster, but I think that's less common than just, like, making the Auctioneer turns easier, which doesn't seem to be a big problem for the deck. So maybe it increases or reduces the failure rate a little bit just by nature of, like, giving you more 0 mana spells to go with, but the deck still has to wait for the to be able to play the Auctioneers, like the biggest hurdle, and it often dies before then. So I think it's an annoying card in that deck. It's a very annoying deck. But I don't think it's going to, like, break it wide open necessarily, because like, it doesn't necessarily solve the biggest hurdle that the deck has.
All right. Do I come in with the kind of warm take, or do I come in with the absolute scorching, scintillating take that I'm not even sure I believe?
Obviously the spicy hot take. Like, what else are people coming to listen to the podcast for if not for spicy takes?
What if we don't even play Lifebinders Gift in Tony Druid? What if it's not even good enough?
I think that's a legitimate possibility. I think it probably is good enough. But, like, it's bad after the Auctioneer, isn't it?
I mean, I don't think it just matters after the Auctioneer is the bigger thing. Like, it's not relevant.
No, it could be relevant in that it could brick your draws, right? Like, it could be a card that you simply cannot play.
Potentially. I mean, I feel like once the Auctioneer Druid just gets going, ever since Funnel Cake has been printed, it just goes. Like, it just doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah.
Especially with Solar Funnel Cakes being bugged, and it refreshes like 9 mana or something.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I always just get Solar Naturalized, so I don't know.
Yeah. So, like, there's not, like, a ton of spells that you want to discount beforehand, right? Like, most of your stuff costs 0 already. Like, a lot of it costs 0, I should say.
I think the only ones that really I could see are Gloop, Bio Project, and Funnel Case. Basically, your 1 mana ramp spells are the only things that it seems terribly relevant on.
Yeah, so I don't know, like post combo, it might be okay in opening up mana. Because assuming that you do have the 2 to play it, then maybe you kind of get it all back anyway. But then before combo, it doesn't really do anything. Either way, like I don't really think this is a game changer remotely, like whether it goes in or not. Probably just be not that special anyway. So yeah, I think people are probably like way overreacting about this in Tony Druid. And maybe they should be a little bit more focused on a deck like Alignment Druid, where it might make a much bigger difference.
Yeah, the 7-mana alignment could be a little bit more of a concern than. But I still feel like Alignment Druid still runs into the same problem of that Tony Druid has, where it just kind of like dies. Like you still have to. I don't know. I don't know. I think people will probably get very irritated with this deck, or with this card because they see it in the deck. They see it like making numbers smaller, but like neither deck really. After the combo turn, neither deck really cares about mana anymore. Anyway, so it's like.
But if it gets them into the combo turn faster, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Speed is all that matters.
But it doesn't, like we talked about, it doesn't get Tony Druid there faster.
It might get Alignment Druid there, though.
It might get Alignment Druid there faster, but like no faster than just simply ramping, right?
I don't know. That's not a me quite. I don't know anything about Alignment Druid, but I do love how Corp tried to allay fears about Tony Druid by mentioning another hated Druid deck at Alignment Druid. So that's well done. Well done.
Thanks.
I feel like you planned that. All right. Another Druid card here. We have Frost Lotus Seedling. So this is another Blossom card where if it sits in your hand for 3 turns this time, it'll upgrade. The baseline is 3 mana to draw 1 card and gain 4 armor, so just like really bad Ferocious Owl. But if you let it sit in your hand for 3 turns, it upgrades to Frost Lotus Blossom, where it draws you 2 cards and gains 8 armor, which is a much better Ferocious Owl. So do we ever see this power creeping Ferocious Owl, I guess is the question. Or whatever. Is it Ferocious Owl? That's the name of the Druid version, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. Like it's gonna take. This is one where like I think for both the seedlings we'll need to wait and see. Like it's both of these feel very bad to top deck is the problem, right? Like if you top deck these in an important part, you feel really bad. Ferocious Owl is often a very, very welcome top deck in a lot of cases. So especially when you're in guff mode, I don't know. Like it's difficult to evaluate. I don't know if it's going to be situationally better than Ferocious Owl and sometimes worse.
I'm gonna assume that it's worse than Ferocious Owl in Wild. In Standard, it's probably better. Just because the speed of our format, like, I don't know, 3 turns, like, it's hard to wait and not play cards that you have in your hand. Especially as Druid in the early game where you don't have a lot of options sometimes. So either way, I don't care. I'll be honest. I don't give a shit. Like, it's the same card that we've seen before, basically. Like, it doesn't bother me in the slightest whether this is played, not played. Like, it's not.
You'll play one or the other. Yeah.
Right.
Does any deck even play Howl anymore? Like, I don't even know that the Mill Druids are playing Howl.
Barely. Like, the decks play it, but, like, it's
You're never happy
been
about it.
In and out of some of the slower Druid decks for a while now, and it's often one of the first cards that gets cut when people either want to test something or
lose to aggro.
Refine.
They just really want to lose to aggro.
Yeah, when they want to refine their deck.
Second question. Is there such thing as a slow Druid deck right now in Wild? That's another question.
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask my chat, yes, we need to nerf Guff immediately. If
Bring back
you
Guff.
actually look at any meta report, no.
Bring back Guff. No, I'm just kidding. All right, we got 2 more Druid cards here. Let's kind of gloss over this one. This is Disciple of Eonar. 4 mana, 4/4 Battlecry. Your next choose 1 card has both effects combined. We've kind of seen effects similar to this with what is called Pathmaker, which is like recast the other half of your last choose 1, or I don't even know the names of the cards. There's like a 3 mana card that like discounts your next choose 1 card by 2. You got a lot of these effects. Do you think eventually we'll get to a density where we're playing choose 1? I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. No.
No, there's not a substantial enough payoff right now as it stands. Like, you have Drum Circle.
Nourish a Drum Circle, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, like that doesn't win Hearthstone games right now because it dies to Flickle times, and you're dead before you're at 7 mana if like you're not ending the game at 7 mana. So we've seen cards like this before. It's a little bit better just because the effect carries over, so you don't have to like stick a Fandral or anything like that. But you also don't get to like chain value off of it, so it's lower risk, lower reward. It's probably just not very good.
Yeah, I'm just rating it as your next Nourish has both effects combined. And I think if I'm going to play that card, I'm just going to play the 1 mana version instead of the 4 mana version. So I think I'm just going to play Embrace of Nature because then I get to tune in my Nourish as well.
Our last Druid card here is the legendary. We have Freya, Keeper of Nature. 8 mana, 4/6. Choose one. Duplicate your hand, so Singleton Elise effect, or summon copies of all other friendly minions, including your Titan, Eonar. Because you go Eonar, refresh your mana, then play this, get another Eonar, and then draw your deck and heal to full. Sounds like a powerful combo in Standard. I don't know, this two very powerful effects, right? We, you used to play Reno Druid for this effect of the duplicating of your hand thing. I know it's 8 mana, but, the whole, like, Druid and mana is a made-up concept sort of thing.
Yeah, you play Freya. I think Dane brought this to my attention. You play Freya with Floop and Floop's Gloop in your hand with a Naturalize, and you just infinitely chain Floop's Gloop, Floop, and Naturalizes until the opponent's hero explodes.
Unless you have other cards in your hand, in which case.
Right. So you do have to pare down quite a bit, but you could theoretically infinitely mill somebody. And board space isn't an issue because you simply kill your own minions.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a good combo.
No. I've been trying that combo for years, and yeah, it's always a little sad the hand issue.
Right.
I don't know. It seems bad. I mean, both pieces of the combo with Eonar, they can be tutored with Melon. I don't know what that does. Probably absolutely nothing. So I guess that doesn't really help you very much. Yeah, I don't really believe in Freya. I don't believe in an 8 mana version of Elise because Elise is already kind of mid at 5. And summoning copies of all of the friendly minions, very strong with the Eonar, but I don't like cards that are only good with one other legendary when you're already playing a legendary. So, yeah, unless there's like some sick OTK that can get tutored with Melon, then I'm probably going to be giving this one a pass.
You know what fills that 9 mana slot for your Melon? OG Malagos.
Okay.
And then you go pew again. I just want Malagos Druid to be back, like.
Okay.
Yeah,
We just did put Aviana to 9, and then we're cooking.
Honestly, is it even that bad nowadays? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm not condoning this, but I'm just saying. I'm like.
Actually, you know what? Why not? Screw it. Bring it back.
Yeah,
how bad could it be, right?
9 mana? Are you kidding? That's
sure.
That's fine. I don't care that it's Druid.
All right. This was not an official, request to bring it back. I just want to make sure that that's out there. All right, let's move on to Hunter. So, Secret Hunter getting some big buffs, and then I don't know what I want to call this, but like Attack Matters Hunter sort of thing are the kind of the two themes. We'll figure out a better name for that second one, but let's start with the secret stuff. So we have a new secret called Bait and Switch. 2 mana secret. When a friendly minion is attacked, give it +3/+3. So you go Costume Singer on 1, draw your Bait and Switch, play this, and then your Costume Singer never dies. Then you have Titan Forged Traps. You have a 2 mana, discover and cast a secret. And so this is not from your deck. This is just out of the pool of secrets. You can forge Titan Forged Traps to do it twice for 4 mana. And then, last but not least, we're finally getting a Crystal Runner slash, what is it called? The 6/6, 0 mana 6/6.
Contract Conjurer.
That thing. We're finally getting a payoff for Hunter. Finally. And that is Starstrung Bow, which is a 6 mana 6/2 weapon that costs 1 less for each friendly secret that has triggered this game. So Bait and Switch seems like a good secret. And then Starstrung Bow is a lot of damage. Finally feels like a payoff for Hunter that's kind of been missing. It is a weapon, though, so it does get hit by Viper and Sticky Fingers and all that kind of crap going on in Wilds. But it's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage. And potentially at not a lot of mana, because like this counts things that get pulled from your deck, unlike things like Crystal Runner. So Mad Scientist, the Beast guy with your hero power. If it's an even cost card as well for Even Hunter. Bait and switch. So like Starstorm Bro definitely looks very good. Bait and switch also. It's like a bamboozle, but but more reliable, and you get to keep the minion that you like are on purpose playing in your deck. So those are both good things. Least convinced about Titan Forge traps though, because there are a lot of bad secrets in Wild, and I don't know that you want to spend 2 mana forging that, even if you do get like double the value. It's I don't know. You'd rather just run like the weapon that gets you secrets or 2 secrets for 4 mana, as well as Tavish, and I feel like that's better. Important to note, like Instrument Tech could draw. You could run double Instrument Tech, double Star Strong, and the 4 mana secret.
The rifle.
Rilling's rifle or whatever. And that would be pretty good. You can run that in both regular and even Secret Hunter. So yeah, Secret Hunter looking like it's getting some decent tools. Many of them also bolster just like Even Hunter.
Secret Hunter definitely needed the bow. Like, often the problem with not the even version, but specifically like Curvestone, Cloaked Huntress, Secret Hunter, that deck, whenever you build secret decks, they just lack lethality in Hunter, because you're packaging like 15 secrets or something in your deck and some payoffs and Cloaked, and you don't actually have any damage or ways of closing out games. So having the bow is huge. It's a huge bow. It's 12 damage, which is nutty. So between that and Tavish potentially getting like motion denied, it's a lot of lethality for some of the slower matchups. So love that. The problem is that like Secret Hunter is still just going to get absolutely thumped by anything that's board based or floody or snowbally. Like, it's going to have a really tough time into the Even Charms of the world, the mech decks of the world, lists like that. So that's a little bit of a problem. It doesn't have the Contract Conjurer. It doesn't have the Cabal Runner. It doesn't have solid minion pressure. And without Drekthar, this deck really needed Drekthar. Like, this deck was super reliant on being able to pull the Cloaked Huntress and have multiple bodies with pressure. So it doesn't look too bad. Like, it looks clean when I've tried to theory craft it, and the bow is great. It's just I think that it's gonna really struggle, with the board flooding and aggro going on in the format. Even Hunter, I have no faith in. Even Hunter, I'm completely out on at this point, and I'm just like, well, that's a deck from 2020, and we just don't have to worry about that anymore in modern Hearthstone. But Titanfall traps, probably a little bit better than I initially thought. I think it'll be fine. Like, I think you can play this.
I'm a little sad that you're writing off Even Hunter, because like Mech Paladin was a deck, and Mech Mage were decks from like 2019 that were written off until they got a bunch of support. Like, the bow seems really good, the secret seems really good for Even Hunter. I mean, that doesn't solve the whole issue of like Dyna board based decks, but I think I'm going to go on record as much more of a believer in something like Even Hunter than you are. But I don't know. I do think that they're both still going to struggle if there's a bunch of mech decks or even shaman or things like that. But I think we could agree on that. All right. Let's move on to the, I guess I still haven't figured out a better name for the Attack Matters Hunter, where you're basically giving your minions a bunch of attack, or care if your minions have a bunch of attack. So we have Always a Bigger Jormungandr, 1 mana spell that says give a minion +2 attack, and excess damage dealt by attacks hits the enemy hero. This seems kind of busted with the Hound in Standard. Is this card good enough in Wild? 1 mana +2 attack. That also goes face. Face Hunter? Question mark.
I feel like we probably just have too high a density of cards that are better than this. Maybe, I don't know, playing this on like a Vicious Scalehide or whatever it is could be a little spooky. If your opponent is running taunts, I don't know. Like,
what about a Crab Rider?
Yeah. It's a permanent. Okay, it's permanent. I was reading it as just this turn. that makes it a little bit more appealing, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it's maybe worth a look there.
I think it's mostly just a Hollow Hound card. Like in the Face Hunters, I'm not even loving it because, yeah, you do get to deal that excess damage, but it is fundamentally a 1 mana smaller Blessing of Might in terms of actual stats, and stats are king. Stats are king when you're trying to play like an aggro duck in wild, rather than worrying about reach quite as much. So unless that reach is often coming from a weapon, uninteractive over the top damage. So yeah, I'm actually not really a believer in it in Face Hunters. Hollow Hound a lot more appealing, but I'm not following, like, is there going to be a Hollow Hound wild deck? Both pieces can get tutored very easily with Trinket Tracker. There we go. And the like breeder as well. So you can combo it off and have it very consistent on turn 7. It's just like we're basically porting over standard Hollow Hound Hunter at that point, and I'm not really sure how you want to build that deck in wild.
Okay.
I think there's also the issue where like Florgold Talks and cards like that are the exception to the rule rather than the rule itself. You generally 2-card combos that rely on each other to have effectiveness or efficacy are not great. Like if you're building your deck entirely around Always a Bigger and the Hollow Hound, what happens if you only draw the Always a Bigger Yormonger and not the Hollow Hound?
I think with like breeder, you could make it very consistent.
Yeah, but is that consistent enough to, like, I don't know, like Fluggle Talks ends games. Does Hollow Hound, does clearing 3 minions?
I mean, against like an even shaman, it kind of does, right? Because everything's gonna have, or like Pirate Rogue. I don't know how much of those Pirate Rogue exist, but
against those decks, how are you alive on turn 7?
Yeah, that is a legitimate.
That's not the question you asked.
No, but like, so if that's where the deck is, if that's where the deck is good, that's kind of irrelevant because you've already died 5 turns ago.
I agree. Like that's the problem, right? Is I think the combo's powerful. It's just it's a turn 7 thing, and it's like, how do you construct a wild deck around that? And you probably can't.
Look, we have like a bunch of these like random 2-card combos in Hunter. So like if we just put like 17 combos in the same deck, then surely we'll draw some of them, right? Like if we put Serpent Bloom Dreadscale, you put Unstable Ghoul Toxic Arrow, you put Hollow Hound plus that, like eventually you'll draw some of them, right? And then you'll have the combo. It's easy.
Yeah,
it's like Scrabble, except you're only gonna have vowels, Meowth. There's gonna be nothing.
Yeah, you can't lose if you have all the vowels, right?
Yeah. Or at least your opponents can't win, and that's all that matters. All right, let's quickly talk about Fable's Stable Hand. 3 mana, 3/3 with Rush. Battlecry. If you control a minion with 4 or more attack, gain +2/+2. So potentially a 3 mana 5/5 with Rush, which is pretty powerful, but relies on you having another minion with 4 or more attack. Some pretty steep requirements, but let's talk about it in combination with a couple of other cards, because I think that might help shape opinions, maybe. We have Observer of Myths, which is a 2 mana 1/4. After you summon a minion with more attack than this, give all friendly minions +1 attack. So that's permanent whenever you summon a minion with more attack. And maybe some of those minions are coming from Awakened Tremors, which is a 1 mana spell that says get 3/4/1 worms. They cost 1. And these are beast, so they're 3 mana, or 3/4/1 beast that cost 1 mana. That's a lot of words. But do those 2 cards make you more interested in playing Stable Hand, or are we just gonna talk about the other 2 cards?
I mean, it makes me Awakening Tremors makes me like curious to go back and watch my favorite Kevin Bacon movie, potentially, but that's about it. It also maybe like has some cuteness with Thunder Rhino. Like that's a lot of damage, and like also can help chain draws off of Buzzard reasonably well. Doesn't play great with something like the Harpoon Gun, but like again, that's a lot of damage with a Thunder Rhino on the board. Even just one of them is an immediate like 6 mana fireball, and then like theoretically you could bring them back with the or play another 1 or 2 with the Stranglethorn Heart turn, but like that's kind of ambitious. So I think it's maybe worth testing in Beast Hunter, but not sure if it'll make the final cut.
I like Tremors in theory. 4/1s are big. Those things are massive and they're cheap, and I like all that. Does it ever open up Finley in Hunter as well? You know, it's just like a scuffed schooling. Maybe there's kind of some cute stuff you could do with that. As for Observer of Myths, I'm kind of struggling to see like where this would be going. Can you play this and just Beast Hunter by itself? Like that feels a little bit weird because most of your stuff's very small. Mostly just like Awakening Tremors from this set of the cards that we're talking about so far.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. The Observer of Myths looks like it could be a good card. It seems awkward to find a use for it, in especially when you consider like it has to stick to really get some value, right? You can't just shove this on 2. It's gonna have taunt.
Yeah, I'm not really a believer in the Observer or the Sable Hand, but I think the schooling comparison for Tremors was like super spot on. Like you don't get the rush, but you don't really care. Yeah, you get damage in something like Beast Hunter that also combos with your Tundra Rhino or your Buzzards and things like that. My only worry is that you're like, that's like now another spell that you want to play in that deck, making something like a Harpoon Gun a little bit worse. And then if you like want to shove Finley in there, it's like another non-beast. I don't know. Like it makes a little bit of deck building tension, but the card seems like really, really strong on the surface. And I think the fact that they're 4/1s is the part that's like the most intriguing to me. Because that's a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage, but they are fragile.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested to see how kind of the Beast Hunter builds kind of go from there. I'm sorry you guys can't see my face anymore. There is now a puppy in front of me, but we're dog sitting and that's all that matters. As long as he doesn't bark. All right, let's move into to Priest here. So Priest getting the Pogo Hopper treatment, I think, is the question that I'm gonna say. It's a bunch of summoning a bunch of things that didn't start in your deck, including Astral Automaton, which is a 1-mana 1/1 mech that has +1/+1 for each other Astral Automaton you've summoned this game. That sounds super familiar. Cough cough Pogo Hopper. But this is kind of like a whole trend, so I'm going to read through a bunch of cards of discovering minions or generating minions or payoffs if you've played minions that didn't start in your deck. One of them is Creation Protocol. 2-mana Holy Spell. Discover a copy of a minion in your deck. Forge. Get another copy. It's a Holy Spell for 2 mana. That actually kind of seems relevant if you want to build your Reno deck in a non-shadow version. Discover another Reno, another Zeph, all that kind of stuff. You got False Disciple, 2-mana 2/2 Battlecry. Discover a legendary Priest minion from the past. I'm not really sure what the pool looks like if we're talking about Wild, but
not good. Gotta tell you.
you could hit what is it called? The 7
you won't.
The Paletris?
No, you won't. Trust me.
All right, you have Grace of the Highfather, restore 8 health, discover a card that costs for the amount of overhealed. You have Student of the Stars, 3-mana 4/3 Death Rattle. Shuffle a copy of this into your deck with permanent +3/+3. So kind of bottom feeder-esque, but for 3 mana. You have the Stars Align, transform minions into in your hand into ones that cost 3 more, 3-mana arcane spell. And then Ra Din, which is the Priest Legendary here, 6-mana 5/5 Death Rattle. Summon each other minion you've played this game that didn't start in your deck. And then, last but not least, Shapeless Constellation, 8-mana 8/8 Battlecry, transform into an 8/8 copy of a random minion in your hand. Whew, alright, deep breath, because it feels like the entire Priest package is kind of dedicated to this whole theme of playing minions that didn't start in your deck. I just read out like 7 or 8 cards. I did not see a happy look from any of your faces for any of these.
Oh, no, I love all of these cards. They're just omega bad. Like this is like warrior or warlock territory where Priest seemingly didn't really get a set for like competitive play, in particular in Wild. Like it got a Monthul, so that's probably just fine. But like Creation Protocol is maybe the other one that's will see some play, but like these are all memes, but so I'm happy. But like I don't like priest mains are struggling right now. I don't know. Like these a lot of these seem just outrageously bad. In a very fun way. That's so again, I'm happy.
Uh, I'm actually interested by the automaton. Is that too weird? Yeah, I don't know. I at least want to try it and see how big and fast, like how
Oh yeah,
fast you can make these like fat. Because
you
they
do.
they do scale like
You
like you
also
want the sorry like you want the deck to be aggro almost, which I'm not sure people are picking up. Is that this is like an aggro popper list, which is super weird to build.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be forging things like creation protocol in that deck. I think what you want to be looking at is like the copy effects, like Twilight's, the one that gives Divine Shield as well. But like that deck seems, even just thinking about it, that deck seems so absurdly fragile that like I don't know how you win. Like if the opponent just pings off your automaton on turn one, is a GG.
Well, there's a lot of like wild exclusive cards that are obviously not meant to be paired with the automaton. Like they're not balanced around that. Where you do have things like Raise Dead, you have Embalming Ritual. Like Raise Dead is absurdly efficient, and so is Embalming. Like by the time, like if you play this on one, I don't know, you give it an embalming, you trade, whatever. Like there are worlds where you start getting up to like 1 mana 4/4s, 1 mana 5/5s very quickly. And you can probably leverage that with running Ziliax as well, potentially. So I don't know. Like I think that there is definitely like a huge risk of not having enough card draw, but turning it into kind of smork automaton priest, like I kind of want to see that. Like you just have to be hyper efficient with the mana. So I do worry about how much card draw you have available. And like just running out of resources, but maybe with Handmaiden and some other stuff, you can kind of mitigate that. So I don't know. Automaton's actually kind of funny. Is it going to be bad? Yeah, probably, but I'm going to try it.
I mean,
I'm glad you said that
what,
part.
Okay, yeah, that's what I've been saying. I've been saying that the set is hilarious, but it's all bad. Like,
yeah.
I was
It's
about to tell everybody to kind of clip this moment of like Roffle hyping up automaton priest when we're sitting here and we've like experienced all this already with Pogo Hopper. I know it's like a little bit of a different class, but Pogo Hopper scaled a lot faster than this, and so
well,
did it?
Here's the thing. No, this is something I think people are overlooking. Yes, Pogo Hopper does scale twice as fast, right? But the original Hopper doesn't scale with the subsequent Hoppers. So, like, if you play this one, then you play a second one, they're both 2/2s. Whereas if you do that with a Pogo Hopper, the first one is a 1/1, the second one's a 3/3, right? So, like, it doesn't scale in the same way. So I don't think it's necessarily like the best comparison, because you can also just like there are a lot of like copy effects for priest that like set its health to 1, but that doesn't matter with a Vivid Nightmare because like it, or you make it a 1/1 with the Divine Shield one where like then it scales back up and it scales the one that you're targeting too. So like there's slight differences here.
all right, slight differences. I'm gonna still hold my reservations or have my reservations about this.
No,
but I don't disagree that it'll be funny, and I'm gonna laugh when I lose to it. But
yeah, I don't think anybody's making the case that this is going to be a good deck.
I almost open to the possibility. This is my spiciest. This is even spicier than the Tony Druid tech. I'm gonna throw it in. I'm open to the possibility of this being actually kind of solid.
all right, we'll see how much you actually believe it in a couple weeks when we do our predictions. We'll just hold next week.
We shall see. Yeah. We shall see.
Big numbers simply do not impress me in Wild these days when there's so many ways to just like snap delete big numbers.
It depends how fast the numbers can become big. That's the thing.
Can it kill the opponent before turn 3 and they Flurgle talks you?
Look, I'm aiming turn 5. If I can kill him by 5, then we'll see.
I feel like Roffle's gotten Flurgle talks a little too often today.
What happened today, Roffle?
I didn't get hit by a single one, but it has been happening to me the past week or so. So maybe that's it.
Okay, I feel like I got us a little lost in the sauce with my absolute delusions of automaton. Preset bad. It's
Whoa,
probably gonna
we
be
still
some...
have one more card. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe the
Well,
saves
there's gonna be some like disgusting control priest and standard probably where you play Creation Protocol with just like a Monthal and Behemoth and one other minion, and all of a sudden the entire game plan is just like synchronizing a Monthals and Behemoths and getting extra copies, and you just do nothing with that in the late game, and that makes me feel a little bit ill. But you probably can't really do that in Wild, so yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you the question of, is Creation Protocol maybe enough of a reason to ditch the shadow part of Reno Priest, because the ability to discover a Behemoth or a Reno or a Zeph from your deck not enticing enough?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right. Well, Reno Priest mains, you guys got nothing except for maybe our last card here. I guess you have Amenthal, so I shouldn't even say it like that. But you do have Security potentially. Sorry, Security? Serenity. 4 mana Holy Spell. Give all enemy minions -2 attack. Destroy any with 0 attack. So this kind of feels like a more flexible, more powerful Shadow Word Horror. Where like it does give the... Wait, this doesn't give them -2 attack until their next turn, right? This is just Shadow Word Horror.
No,
it's permanent.
Oh, much better than Shadow Word Horror then, right?
Yeah, it's pint-sized potion permanently plus Shadow Word Horror, sort of.
Reading is hard. So permanent -2 attack on all enemy minions, and then destroy any that have 0 attack. So I don't know. Disenchant those Shadow Word Horrors. You got a new, more powerful toy for the big priest players, I guess. I guess you can't play this in Arena Priest because it's holy. Yeah.
It's pretty good with the Wave of Apathy. Like, I don't... Again, we're going back to 2-card combos. But this card's kind of playable by itself against aggro sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Wave of Apathy, it's a 5 mana sort of like Twisting the Other clear. So...
I mean, it was the same with Shadow Word Horror, though, right?
Yeah, but this card's better than Shadow Word Horror. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better, but I don't know if it's better than... Like, why are we comparing it to Shadow Word Horror when Shadow Word Horror hasn't seen play in years? We should be comparing it to the...
Spoiler alert, I got Shadow Word Horror the other day.
Okay.
Priest players at Legend, there's something else.
Sane people haven't been playing Shadow Word Horror for years, so, like, I don't think that's the comparison we need to make. I think the comparison is to, like, the other mid-game priest removal, which, like, I think you're probably just preferring Hysteria over this, and I don't know. It could make the cut if it really needs to go anti-aggro, but otherwise probably not.
Yeah. I'll put this as a flex option for the priest decks that have a million options of priest removal spells. All right, let's get to the exciting stuff. Let's talk about Rogue. Let's talk about Mech Rogue. Woo.
Called it, by the way.
All right, so let's talk about just a lot of the mech specific cards here. So we have Pit Stop, 2 mana spell. Discover a mech from your deck. Give it +2/+1. Coppertail Snoop, 3 mana 4/3 mech beast with magnetic. Whenever this attacks, get a coin. You have the legendary. You have Mimiron the Mastermind, 3 mana 2/5 mech. Whenever you play a mech, after you play a mech, get a random one of Mimiron's gadgets. So I'll throw them up here, but you have the Coolant that says 0 mana. The next card you play this turn costs 2 less. You got Cloak Field. Give a friendly minion +3 attack. It gains stealth until your next turn. You have Mimiron's Switch. Choose 2 minions. They swap stats. They can be friendly, enemy. It doesn't matter. You have Mimiron's Horn. Give a minion Taunt and Divine Shield for 1 mana. You have the Rewinder. Return a minion to its owner's hand for 1 mana. You have Mimiron's Blades. 1 mana, deal 3. So these feel very reminiscent of the scrap parts from GVG mechs. So a little bit of an upgrade, kind of modernization of those. And then you have Lab Constructor, which is a 4 mana 3/2 mech that says at the end of your turn, summon a copy of this. Forge, gain magnetic. All right, and then last but not least, and I left this for last because not only is it a mech card, but it can go in a couple of other decks, specifically something like Quest Rogue, and that is From the Scrap Heap, which is a 2 mana spell that says get 3 1/1 magnetic spark bots with random bonus effects. So 2 mana, add 3 1/1s to your hand, and so all of these spark bots are 1 mana mechs with magnetic. They all technically have the same name. So they do count for something like the Rogue Quest, or the Caverns Below, I guess I should specify. but they're all 1 mana 1/1 mechs that have a random keyword. So you have Stealth, Poison, Rush, Wind Fury, Lifesteal, Reborn, Poisonous, and Stealth. All right, I read a billion cards. Guys, are we Mech Rogue believers?
No. but I'm gonna try it. There are some things with Ziv-Moran that could be fun. I'm more concerned about the fact that one of the Spark bots has Wind Fury on Magnetic, and I don't like that. That seems like something that they've intentionally avoided adding to Magnetic cards for quite a long time. So very much do not like that. Fortunately, there's no possible way for Paladin to get these Spark bots, right?
Surely. Getting ahead of yourself here, but
Yeah. No, I think Mech Warper and the Mimron, the Mastermind, can do some silly things, especially with the coolant. You can generate a lot of these, like a lot of these gadgets, but like you're reliant on getting the right ones for the right spot. I don't know. I'm not going to count out mech decks, especially mech decks that can create Divine Shield taunts on command. So I think it's possible that it could be like a worse version of Mech Paladin at some point, if not now. It just doesn't have the draw, does it? Like, no, that's game over. It doesn't have the draw.
I think it's so bad. I think Mech Rogue is terrible. It's like there's very little payoff to actually playing like with the mech stuff. You don't have the same go wide payoffs like a shark or a bubble bot, so you can't really abuse Mech Warper in the same way. The cards are too expensive. The cards are bad. Mimiron is cool. Like that's a neat Hearthstone card, but cards are overcosted. So yeah, and just on the Spark bot, I mean, you mentioned Wind Fury. It's also gonna be funny when you roll Poison for the Mecha Shark, and all of a sudden, you know, because well, the minions die off instantly, you end up dealing like an extra 8 to 10 damage to the opponent's face. That's exciting. Yeah, I don't know. Mech Rogue set, bad and sad.
Yeah. I'm gonna laugh when there ends up being a tier 1 oppressive Mech Rogue deck. But no, I'm with you guys. Like Mimiron feels like the only like payoff for playing mechs, and I think it's like a pretty strong payoff. But it's got nothing else, right? Like you're playing.
Yeah, you need payoff in wild mech decks for going wide, right? Because that's what we do. We have Galvanizer and Mech Warper, and good card draw. So that's what you want to do. That's what Mecha Shark and Bubblebot does. And this deck is like, oh, we strap on a Lab Constructor after we forge it on 2, and we strap it onto a Spider, and then we have a couple of like 6/6s on 4, and then you die. And you didn't go wide, and that's your problem.
Yeah. This is like the issue of like. Go ahead.
I think you're all missing what I properly predicted last week in the strapping a bunch of magnetic stuff onto Voltron Prime and winning that way, protecting it, giving it stealth over the course of turns, even using a Lab Constructor to reuse like more of its abilities, like get multiple copies. That's going to be the real meta breaker.
I would like to take this opportunity when talking about bad mechs that I have actually looked at the Priest deck builder, and I retract all my claims about a Automaton in Priest.
Nope, it's too late. It's already out there in the universe. You can't take it back.
Cut that. Cut that last part, but leave in the Automaton stuff.
I will, definitely will. I think this is like an issue of like, it's similar to the like a lot of the other sets that we've gotten for like Warrior and Warlock. We're like, okay, we got one expansion worth of mech stuff for this rogue, for the rogue class, and it's probably not going to get mech support for a while, which means it's going to really struggle to make a home or have a place, I feel like, in Wild.
Now that said, we do still have Mech Warper and Galvanizer, so like there could be it could just simply be missing a payoff card that it eventually gets down the line that breaks it open.
Yeah, I just don't know that any of these are it.
No.
I wonder if like a pit stop in something like a Reno Rogue to draw your Voltron Prime, or am I trying to reach too far?
It's 2 mana. 2 mana for some reason. It's 2 mana.
Look, you're a rogue. It's always 0 mana. You always have infinite preps for all the spells in your deck, including this one. I mean, a 5 attack Ziliax kind of interesting. Yeah, okay. Regardless of all the mech stuff, we do have 3 other cards for rogue. Let's talk about Kajamite Creation. 2 mana, 3/2 battle cry. Discover a spell from another class that costs 3 less. Burgle Rogue support. I'm sure Roffle likes that. And then we got a couple other spells here for 1 mana. So one of them is called Gear Shift. Shuffle the 2 leftmost cards in your hand into your deck. Draw 3 cards. So 1 mana, draw 1, but it's interesting though, right?
1 mana, draw 1. Yeah.
Well, you have to put 2 cards back. I guess if you're like empty-handed.
Not if you don't have any cards.
Why do you have cards in your hand?
Oh, sorry, I forgot. We have aggro noob Corb over here, always empty-handed because he's playing an aggro deck. All right, fair enough.
Hey,
1 minute draw.
I'm also Secret Passage Corb. Thank you very much. And then I get to permanently keep the cards as well.
All right, do we actually? How high are we on this card? Super high.
Pretty high. I think pretty high. I think that this is a card where if this sees play, it is one of the more degenerate cards in Wild. So, that's kind of the situation, right? Because you only play this in situations where you are vomiting out your entire hand and playing every single card that you can in your entire deck. And if you're doing that, you're playing something stupid and disgusting. This would have worked well in the, Mech Warper Rogue deck, but that's already dead on arrival. So, let's look over to the other Rogue decks. Pirate Rogue, you can push the Pirate Rogue curve even lower. Courier, get out. We're pushing low 1-drops, following, we're doing all that stuff. Then all of a sudden we just passage, and then if that doesn't work, we gear shift and just never run out of cards. So that's exciting. You also can play it in Miracle, Miracle Rogue. Miracle Rogue does have the issue a little bit where it does spend a lot of mana drawing cards, so that part's a little bit dicey. But there might be ways for you to sort of just pop off epically with mailbox, step, mailbox, coin, yada yada yada, and then you just play gear shift at the end, and you just draw 3 cards and you YOLO, and then you get an Edwin because that's what Rogue does. So yeah, if it sees play, it's one of the more degenerate cards in the format. It works incredibly well with passage. This is a wild card. After we've talked so much about some more standard oriented cards so far.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll necessarily shift the build of Pirate Rogue simply because the only people playing Pirate Rogue right now are robots, and it takes them a long time to adjust their build.
The real Mech Rogue deck too, right? The Rogue deck.
Yeah,
it's all coming together.
That's the Mech Rogue deck. But yeah, I could very easily see this. Maybe if there's ever a resurgence of Miracle Rogue. That's kind of my first thought as well. Because a lot of times the deck wants to just go all in as early as possible, and then if somehow there is an answer there, then it just dies and loses. And this could give it second hope for a second go turn, maybe.
Yeah, it's very effective with Mailbox in particular, more than stuff like Door of Shadows or Gaunt Fishing, right? Because then you're spending mana on getting cards, which Gear Shift doesn't need. So yeah, any the more degenerate and singularly focused your dumb rogue deck is, the better the Gear Shift is. So that's a pretty scary relationship for a card to have in the format.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, I just didn't completely understand this card when I first read it because this is the first time seeing this card.
It's a 1 mana Ferocious Howl functionally,
or
in every Howl,
the Hunter version.
Furious Howl, yeah.
The fact that those are named so similarly. Yeah. I had the same confusion earlier. No, I agree. I completely forgot about the fact of just drawing you 3 cards, especially if you don't have cards in hand. Also, the secret passage interaction is super important to note, right? Where if you passage into this, you don't care about those 2 other cards that you're shuffling back in your deck from passage, and you get to keep the 3. So good shouts. More you think about it, more I think about it, the more broken this card does seem. So good shout out on that one. Kind of missed that on my end. All right, the last rogue card here is Tarslick, 1 mana spell that says minions take double damage this turn, deal 1 damage. It's your okay.
That's not a rogue card, Meowth. That's not a card at all.
It's the 2 mana 2/4 on a spell. No. The demon. Nope. Okay.
It sure isn't.
All right. Tell me how you real feel. All right, let's move into the neutrals. We've talked about all the class cards that have been revealed so far. As we move into the neutrals, let's start with the cute minion of the set. We have Ancient Totem, 0 mana for a 0/3 totem.
Is
Ooh.
it cute?
It's
Terrifying
actually
is what it is.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't find this cute at all.
So obviously, even Shaman. To a lesser extent, I'm going to shout out something like Menagerie Warrior. At least like the cute version of the deck that plays the 0-mana as ones. But let's talk about the deck that everybody's thinking about. Let's talk about the even Shaman deck. Play this. Play a hero power on turn 1, and then go 3 spells, and then your opponent's just dead until they get Flugel Talks, right?
Look, it'll finally make sense when the robots play a turn 1 Totemic Might against me. Hopefully, they'll start to learn to do it after they press the hero power button, and ideally after they play the Ancient Totem, but at least it'll start to make a little bit more sense. Yeah, not a fan of this card because I don't know if anyone has heard, but I absolutely hate Even Shaman. And I say that many times over the course of my streams, because I queue into it many times over the course of my streams, and I hate the deck. I hate it very much. So I don't really care if this goes in it or not. I'm still gonna keep hating the deck.
Yeah, I am. I'm a little done with even Shaman myself, Roffle. I'm not a big fan that it's like woo totem support woo like. It just makes the deck even more explosive. It makes things from below cheaper, Giga Totem's cheaper. It's early aggro. It's the don't like it. Don't like it at all. Actually,
no. I in fact very much hate it.
Surely the boost in power from Ancient Totem will totally get devs to look at the deck in Wild, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
They have never and will never. It seems like
you got to give the listeners
an aggro deck.
You got to give the listeners hope.
Yeah, it feels like I'm one of the few people that ever like rants and raves about the deck, but it's just so obnoxious, man. Like it just, no matter how far ahead you feel like you are, they just like end up swinging it back. Like I hate it.
The deck is very, very dumb and strong.
Yeah.
And it's not fun to play for me. So like, if there's gonna be a broken deck in the format, I'd rather it be something that's fun that I actually want to play.
Right. It's just like it's literally predominantly played by robots. It is the least engaging deck that we've had in a very long time. And it's kind of always been that way as well. So like even back when it was good the first time around, it was just not fun for me.
Yeah. And the novelty definitely worn off a little bit at this point. But yeah, Ancient Totem broken. Not broken. I don't know. Like it'll make for it like it's a terrible top deck and stuff, but it'll just make the deck much more explosive. Which is
what it wants to be anyway.
Yeah. So tough stuff.
Yeah. I guess as the one guy on the podcast that doesn't absolutely despise Even Shaman, I think this card is broken, so I just want to make sure that I put that out there as well. Also need to make my feelings about the deck clear, so I don't get grouped in with the two of you guys. All right, let's talk about how Mech Mage and Mech Paladin are going to get some Spark Bots. Let's talk about Drone Deconstructor. Corb is so excited about this card if you can't tell. 1 mana 1/2 mech Battlecry, get a 1/1 magnetic spark bot with a random bonus effect. Just to run through those again, you got Divine Shield, you got Taunt, you got Rush, you got Wind Fury, Lifesteal, Reborn, Stealth, and Poison. Yeah, I mean 1 mana mech with another mech that's one. Dude, those Mecha Sharks are gonna go crazy.
I know, a Mecha Shark with Lifesteal. Imagine. Like, I think that the main issue I have with this is not just that it has Wind Fury, but also that's dumb and should have not been included. It's like it's the massive variance involved in it, where it's like this is just going to feel so bad to play against. It's like on the verge of a Crackle type scenario, except like most of them are at least somewhat good, and sometimes it won't matter all that much, but like the swings are going to be a little bit frustrating.
Mechs and Totems, woo! Yeah!
The rich get richer.
I don't like that. Like the best Curbstone aggro, whatever. Like, I don't like that the best aggro decks that I'm not interested in are getting the best support pieces so far that we've seen. Like very good support pieces. Drone Deconstructor. Like I don't know. You said it was kind of might feel bad to play. I don't think this card ever feels bad to play. Like I think this card is just disgusting. And then sometimes when you do the mega high roll and you hit Poison or Wind Fury and you you get lethal, then it's great for you. But man, that's gonna be tilting. Like losing to top deck, Deconstructor, Wind Fury. Like, oh, I can already feel disgusted about that. So that's nice. But yeah, the card is just like very overstated. Like, it's very effective with what both of these decks want to be doing. Even as like a curve player, sometimes like I don't know, you get the Divine Shield. All of a sudden, it's a 2-mana 2/3 with Divine Shield. That's not terrible. So it can have even this decent like fighting for board in the early game as well. But I don't know, it's very good, very good mech card. Excellent mech card. Disgusting.
Yeah, it allows those mech decks to push their curve down even further. Not that they really needed to with Mech Warper and Galvanizer, but you know, this is scenarios where you only draw one. You got that going for it. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Drone Deconstructor seems pretty good. All right, a card that doesn't seem very good. You got Victoria's Vehicle. 1 mana 1/2. After this attacks, get a 2/3 Valkyr that costs 1. A 1/2 that has to attack in order for you to get a minion. That also requires you mana to play. Seems not good. Oh, it seems really good if you're going first, I guess, but cards like that don't really seem to ever stick around in Wild. You guys have anything you want to say about this one before we move? All right.
Closest I could think is maybe the two of these, probably Drone Deconstructor more, could maybe be worth a consideration in like a Crystology hand buff Paladin, but it's not going to save the deck from where it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, a Deconstructor, I think much more than the Vrykle or whatever.
I'm thinking we make an addendum to the LPG rule. All right, we've had a long history of Jade Rogue and the LPG. I think it's time we write in hand buff Paladin into the holy, like the holy certificate that we have here. Anytime you start bringing up a deck, anytime you start bringing up a card being good in hand buff Paladin, it means the card sucks.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That means we have to accept that hand buff Paladin's bad, though, and I don't think I can get there.
We should have accepted that a long time ago.
I don't want to, though. I don't want to.
No, I think Corb's right. I second this motion.
Motion denied.
Even though that I'm the culprit here, I second his motion.
I did it as well. I do it all the time. I did it last expansion. Like...
I will go straight to jail on this one. I'm out.
All right. Let's see if this one will see play in an LPG Mage. And that is Celestial Projectionist. 2 mana 3/2. Battlecry. Choose a friendly minion. Add a temporary copy of it to your hand. So it's Zola, except for that you have to play the minion this turn, but it's 2 mana instead of 3. I think we just play Zola if you want that effect, right? You don't care about this.
I mean, like theoretically, this could be better in more OTK, or like more combo-y style decks. You know, like get a 0 mana Brute or a Walloper. Or a Flesh Giant once upon a time. So in that kind of deck, it's better. But it's probably still a little bit too clunky.
Would you want to play this in your Brute Walloper deck?
Well, no, like I think it is too expensive. If it was 1 mana, like if it was 1 mana 1/2 or something, then probably yeah. But I
think in 1 mana it's a lot better because then you only have to commit 1 mana to get an extra copy rather than 2.
Yeah, a better card would be better.
Right.
I do agree. But like yeah, just because it would be easy to play with the questline discount, whereas this is just not quite. I mean, in questline it is kind of alright still with like Fierce and Crimson. So in standard, I'm actually kind of open to it with like in Outcast, but in Wild, no, I don't think so.
So here's my question: do you run it in your Automaton Priest, Corb?
A new addendum to these LPG.
Our next card here is Flame Revenant. This is a 2 mana 2/3 elemental. After you summon elemental, give it +1/+1, and so that is the elemental you're summoning, not the Flame Revenant itself. That being said, we do have some cheap elementals that Standard doesn't have, so stuff like Kindling Elemental, Firefly, Wailing Vapor, things like that. Is that Elemental Shaman on the?
No.
God. Unbelievable.
We gotta rip through these bad neutrals, Meowth.
Yeah.
Inventomatic, 2 mana 2/3. Whenever you magnetize a minion, give it +1/+1. It's a mech. Goes in those mech decks for your Spark bots.
No, it doesn't.
But what if it did? All right, Watcher of the Sun, 2 mana 2/3. Battlecry, get a random holy spell. I'm just gonna go ahead and move on to the next one because we're not even gonna read that second effect because it says random. All right, Careless Mechanist. 3 mana 4/5. After you draw your second card in a turn, destroy this. So 3 mana 4/5. I know our whole thing about like stats and stuff, but if you're playing a deck that doesn't draw a bunch of cards, it's a 3. No, okay. Look, I'm trying. All right, what if we play Battlegrounds in Standard? Let's talk about Mecha Leaper. 3 mana, 2/2 mech, magnetic. Death Rattle, give a friendly mech +2/+2, and this Death Rattle. You are, you got Hunter, ways to like multiply Death Rattles. Maybe mechs and Rogue with Graveyard. I just really want to play Leapers.
Yeah, I think this is a cute card and might be better than it initially looks. Like 30 mana is expensive, but it's very like annoying.
I think it could be. It probably won't be main deck, but it's like if you're running Discover effects in your mech decks, it's probably a high priority choice.
Why isn't it also a mech based? I thought we established
I believe it is. It is.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the thing.
Yeah, I think that it goes confirmed as just a text error.
Okay, all right.
So in game it should be a mech beast. So that being said, there is that whole. I feel like mech hunter might get added to this list real quick that we just had, but
mech beast hunter.
Yeah.
Another mech beast hunter card.
Yeah. That deck actually feels super close. Like I've played it a couple times recently. It does feel like it's obviously worse than Mech Paladin and Mech Mage. But you got Metal Tooth Leaper, and you still got your Mech Warpers and Galvanizers. This makes your bomb producing mechs or your replicating menaces a lot better as well. Just throw in like a random Feign Death or something for some reach, Yeah, how you guys feeling? The Mech Beast.
I don't know if this will be the card that does it, but I agree that the deck is probably pretty close.
This card's cute. I think I agree with Roffle where it's probably not good enough to get main deck, but it'll be an interesting discover option.
All right, fair enough. No Leapers in Wild, unfortunately. Okay, Melted Maker, 3 mana, 3/3 elemental. After you forge a card, get a copy of it. I think we've seen like half the classes so far, and all of the neutrals, and still haven't seen a forge card that I like, which means that I don't.
Yeah,
really play
is this a good opportunity? Is this a good opportunity to talk about how bad forge is?
You want to wait that for the? I guess let's talk about the legendary as well, right?
Sure.
When we get into that, okay. I mean, we can skip ahead. Let's talk about Ignis, the Eternal Flame, 4 mana legendary minion, Battle Cry. If you forged a card this turn, craft a custom weapon. So he's a 2/4 on its own. He does the whole Kazakus thing, where you like pick 1, 5, 10 mana for your weapon, and you get a bunch of different effects. I don't even know that I want to go through these because I don't think we're forging anything in Wild. Like, I don't want to waste the time to do that because it feels. We've seen more than half the cards, and none of them seem playable when it comes to Forge.
Yeah, Ignis like win condition is kind of pretty slow as well. Like it's much more of a standard type win condition that you throw in. Like you the only type of deck that you'd throw this in Wild is a Reno deck, but the Forge cards are all bad. Like Forge just seems really not what I was expecting. I thought that there would be more payoff for investing the 2 mana early, but it seems like in almost all the cases, it seems like the 2 mana you don't actually go tempo positive on the 2 mana investment. It's just kind of there for you to do something if you do want to do it, but you don't get like a reward for it. There are cards like the Druid spell where it is a little bit more worthwhile, or a lot more worthwhile, but for the most part, they don't seem to be good.
Yeah, no, it's so, like you said, very rarely you're actually getting the 2 mana investment, and then on top of that, like because Hearthstone, especially in Wild, is such a tempo-based game, like taking a turn off to preload something, you really got to get like good use out of that, right? And the payoff just hasn't been there.
Yeah, like if you spend 2 mana pass, you need to almost be getting like 3.5 mana worth of payoff, like or 4 mana, like by the time you actually do the thing.
Just because you can fall so far behind just from that 2 mana pass that like you need a lot of either value or tempo regain to compensate for that.
Yeah, I guess it is important to know that we haven't seen all of them. Like maybe like Warrior, being Warrior, we have like 3 or 4, and then something like a Control Warrior wants to play something like this. But I agree with you guys. All of the Forge cards that we've seen so far, especially like the class ones, I agree with everything that you guys have said. That being said, I think Ignis is cool. I love cards like this, where like OG Kazakus, 4 mana specific Kazakis, and then this one. I like cards like this. I just don't think this one's gonna be powerful enough, because you just don't also have forge cards. All right, circling back, let's go to Ravenous Kraken. This is a 3 mana 2/5 beast. Battle cry: destroy a friendly minion. Death rattle. Summon a copy of it. 3 mana carnivorous cube. Kind of, sort of. I mean, like, you don't get the 2, but it's 3 mana, and 3 mana is a lot less than 5.
It's true, but 2 is a lot more than 1. I don't know. Maybe it can find a place where it makes sense to cube some stuff in something other than Warlock, where you're just fine with getting the Death Rattle to proc or something along those lines. I don't know.
There's a card called Terran.
Oh, right.
Like, and you know how that card
3
isn't...
copies instead of just the 1.
Yeah, but you know how that Terran card also hasn't been very good?
You also have to consider that Cube hasn't been very good for a very long time.
Cube also hasn't been very good, yes. Yeah, this type of effect, like, ugh, I feel like people who haven't been as engaged in Wild, I don't know, it's weird. They said specifically that they refused to do Cube and Tarim because they thought they would be way too strong in Standard. And I'm gonna say it. I'm a little dubious about that. I think Cube has been bad, like actively just bad for a very long time, and I can't imagine that it would be super OP right now. And yeah, so like Cube not great. I think Kraken not great either.
Yeah, I could see Cube being a little bit much for Standard with the like Hound Hunter, like the slow big beast stuff maybe. But no, come on, you gotta give the Warlock player some hope. Like five copies of Cube Effect for your Void Callers. Come on. No, a little bit sad, but I agree with you guys. All right, so let's move on to a card where I'm ready for your guys' hot takes, because I've seen some takes on Twitter and Reddit about this one. Razor Scale, 3 mana 2/4 dragon. Cards can't cost less than 2. Cuts off those APM decks.
You've seen takes about this card?
Dude, I've seen people so hype about this thing.
Yeah, it's saved Wild. It saved all the format because you can't cheat mana anymore.
Yeah, no mana cheat, baby.
Oh no.
People think tech cards do things.
Corb is like flabbergasted.
I'm like rereading the text. I'm rereading the text. I'm just like, surely I must be misunderstanding what this says. Wow, this card sucks.
Yeah, it does. Wait until you hear some of the takes I've been forced to deal with about some of the other cards.
Oh, I can't wait.
Look, Corb, how you ever kill this in your Outcast Demon Hunter deck where you're trying to cheat 1 million mana? Huh?
I don't know. Play a Glaive Tar and kill it in one shot.
Damn, you got me. How does Tony Druid deal with this thing, huh?
Play one consume magic.
Now, I will say, I agree with you guys. I have seen some takes of people being really excited about.
I've seen them
this will
too.
stop the mana cheating. Yeah, this will stop.
Yeah, it won't.
Yeah. Okay, what if this was a 2 mana 2/3
No.
that could get hit off of Cult Arms?
Then
if the card was better, would it be better?
Yeah, if the card was better, it would be better. I agree.
I love that.
No, I do agree with you guys. Razor Scale does not seem like a very good card in Wild. If you guys disagree with us, let us know down in the comments. I'm actually really interested. Are we wrong? Are we out of touch? Are we boomers that don't understand how to evaluate cards? If you think it's busted, let us know. All right. In the meantime, we're going to move on to some other cards. Let's talk about Relentless Warg. 3 mana 2/4 beast with rush. After this attacks and kills a minion, restore this to full health.
Say the line, Roffle. Say it.
No, it's not even a hand buff paladin card.
Oh my god. Wait, maybe that's good then. Maybe that means it's strong.
I'm gonna say that seems pretty busted in arena. Can't kill this thing ever, right? All right, Sharp-Eyed
That's
Seeker.
the other line.
Yeah, I thought that's the line that I was gonna ask you for. All right, next up we have Sharp-Eyed Seeker, 3 mana 3/3 beast, battle cry. If there's a card in your deck that didn't start there, draw it. Shuffle Rogue support. Woohoo. Okay, unironically, What about in Beast Druid, the long forgotten deck? Draws your nuts from the squirrels. Maybe draws your bottom feeders if you're playing that.
Downside, it's a 3-mana 3/3.
No, the real downside is that you're also running bottom feeder in your deck.
Ah, forgot about that.
I think it's no.
Hey! You know what this is good? If you're for shuffling automatons into your deck in the priest. And
you can't shuffle in priest though, can you?
It's actually an interesting card to have long term in the neutral pool. Like, you know, we have seen like quest priest have a significant payoff shuffled into the deck. So there could always be like more types of these effects in the future, and maybe it'll be super broken one day, but not today.
No, I think it's unlikely, but it is. I agree that it's interesting to make it neutral. Something that was like previously only in a class is interesting.
Can I interest you guys in the curve of coin Mancrick on 2 into Seeker on 3?
No.
If Mancrick was 3/10, then no.
You got me there in the first half, not gonna lie. All right, look. I like Seeker. I know it's bad. It's fine. All right, we got Starlight Whelp, 3-mana 4/3 dragon, Battlecry. Get a random card from your starting hand.
You can play 2 quests in the same game. 2.
Oh, dude, finally, Quest Mage tier 1.
Finally, yeah.
Finally.
The best thing is that the first or the second quest will trigger the first.
Yep. Yeah, Starlight Whelp is bad. Very bad in Wild. In Standard, I think you could play it in like Relics or the Plague deck, like Plague Death Knight or Relic Demon Hunter, because anything that's like highly parasitic and just wants that stuff, then it mightn't be that bad. But there's no real deck like that in Wild where Starlight Whelp makes any sense.
Yeah.
All right, Trog Exile, Arena card, 3-mana 4/4 with a rush, Battlecry, deal 4 damage to your hero. All right, another card. Some takes on Twitter and Reddit about this one. Let's talk about Algalon the Observer. 4-mana 4/4, legendary minion, Battlecry. Replace your hero power with Algalon's Vision. Algalon's Vision is a 1-mana hero power that says look at the top card of your opponent's deck. You may put it on the bottom of their deck.
I legitimately probably ruined an entire YouTube video just because people would not stop asking about this card and trying to convince me that it was absolutely super auto-include in a wide variety of decks. But the important thing to remember here, because there are a lot of comparisons to like Jace the Mind Sculptor in Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone is very critically not Magic the Gathering. And this card is also very critically not Jace the Mind Sculptor. If Jace the Mind Sculptor were only his +2 that could only target your opponents, he would be like a very different card. That is
the worst part about Jace. Like the
right,
is useless. But
yeah, no, and like you cannot force your opponent to brick their draws as consistently in Hearthstone because they don't have lands in their deck. So essentially, what this card reads is replace your hero power, which you assume does something, sometimes, most times, right? Like it does something. With pay 1 mana, more than 50% of the time, do nothing. The reason it's more than 50% of the time, because half the time you're just going to want to leave the card there. The other half of the time, you move the card, and the opponent still draws something useful and playable that still, contributes to the game plan and beats you. So more than 50% of the time, do nothing. Pay 1 mana. Like, why? What is this? This is. I made the statement before we saw any of the other, like, this is the first neutral legendary we saw. We saw the class legendaries. I said this is probably the worst legendary that we'll see in the set. I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore, but I will stand by the second point. But then that this is probably the worst singular card of the set that people will play in earnest.
Roffle, you stole the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the exact same thing about Juice the Sculpture. So I'm glad you handled it. Yeah, this card's terrible. Really bad. Meowth, you keep mentioning takes on Twitter and having read them. I'm just so happy that Elon rate limited my tweets. I haven't seen anything like this. So big shout out to Elon.
They're all coming from inside of my chat is where I'm seeing them. So I unfortunately can't escape them.
Yeah, I could say Twitter and Reddit to be nice to Roffle's Twitch chat, but when I lurk there, I do see some of those.
It's a wink, wink.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair. It's both Twitch and YouTube chats. YouTube was all about the
Twitch chat is not alone in their terrible takes.
If the hero power was 0, would I ever think about? Probably not.
You guys are all missing the super obvious synergy here of playing Grizzled Wizard and then playing this card to remove your opponent's oppressive hero power, just like we used to do back in the day. This is just better.
I will say that one very, very intelligent YouTube super chatter came up to that same conclusion, and that was the best use of Algalon that I had ever heard of. So, and that was after like legitimately 50 minutes of people trying to rationalize the card to me.
Second best use, because I think the best use is dusting this for 400 dust to craft a card that's actually useful.
Yes.
All right. Let's move on to Angry Hellhound. There's a 4-mana 2/5 beast with Rush, has +4 attack on your turn. Very similar to, there was a warrior card back in the day. I don't even remember the name of the card. I think it was Militia Commander.
Stormwind Militia. Oh, no, you're right.
Something like that. It was a 4-mana 2/5 that had +3 attack on your turn. So this is a much better version of that, but it's still unplayable. I don't even think something like Beast Hunter wants this, even in standard. So gonna move on to Imposing Anubisath, the most powerful play in combination with that Warlock location that we saw earlier. It's a 4-mana 7/7 with Taunt that can attack. Is this better or worse than Injured Marauder for the 2 decks out there still playing Oaken Summons? It's worse, right? It can't attack.
It's worse. Yeah, it's probably worse.
I think it's worse. I think people probably underestimate how much you need to pressure people, even if you are a slower deck. Not half the time, but a lot of times you're up against a slower deck as well. And being able to push damage is important. Dictating trades is important. Not just being able to ignore it.
I don't know. That curve in standard seems pretty nutty, though. Make a 7/7 taunt, and then make a 7/7 with Rush with the location. Handlock in standard, maybe?
Yeah, Warlock can actually leverage it in standard. Probably not that insane, but it's a curve, it's a play. So
Warlock's pretty desperate right now in standard, so maybe. It'll depend. Maybe that location is a hint of other things to come in the Warlock set as well. So maybe this card being evaluated in a vacuum is difficult to do. But I don't think that. I mean, what other than Silence Priest maybe, but then you lose a big portion of what you're running the card in the taunt. So I don't know.
All right. Next up, we have Mechanome Guide. 4 mana, 3/4 mech. Battlecry, discover a spell. If you spend 2 mana to forge it, it costs 3 less. Look at that. You're getting a whole mana back on your investment. Insane.
Yeah, and you're probably not even playing this in Death Knight where you want to discover spells. I think we're approaching the point where Discover is going to be a lot less commonly run in Death Knight just because it's going to be a lot less consistent moving forward.
Yeah. All right. What about this Discover card, though? We got Rune Fueled Golem. 4 mana, 4/4. Battlecry. Discover a weapon from any class.
Finally, I can get Cursed Blade in Questline Warlock.
Wait, that actually kind of sounds nutty.
Yeah, but then you're playing Questlow in Warlock.
No. Then you're playing Rune Fueled Golem.
Same thing. Yeah. Which one is worse, though? I mean, you're off to a bad start with both of those.
Look, Core beat me with Questline Warlock, so I'm legally not allowed to say anything bad about the deck. The deck is busted tier 1. Rune Fueled Golem just sucks, right?
I'm impressed that Corb won a game with it. Good job.
I won many games. Thank you. Thank you.
Was that a shot at Corb?
No. I mean, it's a shot at the deck.
Wow, Corb won a game? Whoa.
Well, he's playing a high legend and the deck is trash.
I mean, this month I think it's a fair call out. It's been the best month for me in Hearthstone.
All right. Next up, we have Serenity Tolvir. 4 mana, 3/5 taunt. Whenever this is attacked, draw a card. Drop this against Pirate Rogue. Maybe draw 2 or 3. I keep mentioning this Pirate Rogue deck that doesn't exist. I don't know why I keep mentioning it, but
I see it all the time because again, I play with the robots.
Yeah, fair.
This card has some more stats. It's pretty good.
Yeah, needs a lot more stats.
Just give it to him with your hand buff cards, right? Yeah.
Or-
I'm hoping you guys get there because you alluded to it. Roffle did not get there.
Or make it cost less mana with an LPG, and there.
Boom.
There you go.
There we go. All right. Time Lost Proto Drake. 4 mana, 4/5 taunt. This is a dragon. Whenever you draw this, add a random dragon to your hand. Not only is this hand buff support because you get more minions in your hand, it's also dragon support, handmade support. There's a lot of dragons
it's encumbered mule, except it's somehow more ass.
That was good. All right. Disguised Kathir. 5 mana for a 3/3. Each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a random card in your opponent's deck. Roffle, I'm going to come to you first for this one.
I don't know. It's fun. it's Chameleos, but without the very, very critically important information that you gather from knowing what's in your opponent's hand, which is why Chameleos is and always was a very powerful card. No, it's goofy. It's fun. I don't care. I'm gonna play it.
How does this work with the rogue quest that you would get cards from your opponent?
I believe it, like each transformed thing would trigger, right? Because it's a new card.
I guess so.
It's not being added to your hand though. It's like transforming. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that would.
I'm asking the important questions.
I don't think it would actually proc. I think I'm gonna swing the other way. I think that the card's already in your hand. So.
All right.
I don't know. I guess you could test it with the Serenity and convert your whole hand with because she has a transform effect. She's a 5 mana 5/5 that converts your minions into minions of another class.
Okay, thank you, because I was about to ask that question if I had no idea what this card was. No, but any Blizzard employees listening, please let us know down in the comments how this card actually works with the Rogue Quest. All right, Tram Operator is our next one. 5 mana 4/4 mech. Battlecry. Draw a mech. The next mech you play costs 2 less. More mana cheat for our mech decks in Wild, even though this costs a whole 5 mana.
This is not mana cheat.
Look, you.
This is like very specific. If it works, like you're playing like an A-drop mech, and then that's the idea.
So
draws your Gaia.
Draws your Mechathune. Your Mechathune. Yeah, wow.
Oh, wait.
That's perfect. So then you can hit it with the Cataclysm.
Ooh.
All right. Next up, we have XB488 Disposal Bot. 5 mana for a 3/2 mech. Battlecry. Deal 5 damage randomly split among all enemy minions. You can spend 2 mana to forge it, and then it gains lifesteal. It feels like
5 stars. 5 stars. Best card of the set.
It's just Dynamatic, right?
It's better Dynamatic.
It's insane. It's like 7 mana Dynamatic with a smaller body.
I mean, it is better Dynamatic even without the lifesteal with the smaller body. So not entirely better, but it's bad.
Yeah. When's the last time you guys saw a Dynamatic? That's fair.
It's impressively bad. It's it's like
this is a card straight out of like 2017. Is what this feels like, except for the force mechanic.
It would probably cost more in 2017 if because Dynamatic was a class card.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes it even worse. All right, we have another legendary here, Flame Behemoth. 6 mana 4/5 mech. Battlecry. Get 2 random magnetic mechs. They cost 2 less. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have not done the math on the average mana value of mechs that you could generate in Wild off of this. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I could actually see this card maybe as like the top end of a mech deck, where you get the 2 things, you magnetize, it helps you go face. One of them could be okay.
You have Magatha. You already have your card draw. You have Magatha and Radar Detector.
You have infinite resources. Like in standard, the pool is a lot more curated, so like you are more likely to get Ziliax and War Gear and like the good Paladin, new magnetic. So sure, but Wild, no. Like even then, like it's so expensive.
It's just too expensive for Wild.
Look, we played Gaia, right?
Compare this to Falarin.
Okay, you shouldn't have done that because now I want to move on. Why'd you do that? Yeah, look, it's reach.
Yeah, it's a
not-
reach if you're playing this.
Right.
All right, what about containment unit? Surely some mechs will be playable. 7 mana, 6/6 mech, magnetic, death rattle, summon a random 8-cost minion.
I like it. I like the
This
containment
one of
unit.
all of them you like?
It's huge. It's massive. It's so fat.
So bad.
I don't get it. He's so huge.
Corb gets excited about the weirdest cards. I just have to put that out there. The most
I know,
random
it's-
cards. I'm just like, we're gonna gloss over this one, and then Corb's like, I like it. I'm so confused.
It's smaller. It's the size of a war gear for 2 more mana.
I don't know. It's sticky. It's massive. It's like we can play Leviathan. Leviathan's been really good in mech Pally. The Leviathan has a lot higher impact immediately, but I don't know, dude. It's such a big threat. If the containment unit hits face, you win the game. It's the updated high man rule. Like if this connects, it's so Jova.
Jover for someone, that's for sure.
I can't get over the fact that you're excited about this card. I just can't.
It's so fat. It's massive.
I've never heard you this excited about a war gear before. I'm so confused.
You're just underestimating it. Trust me. You're gonna get this. You're gonna discover it. It's just gonna win the game instantly. It's gonna be disgusting. They can never clear it. It's impossible to clear. The minion is too big and it gets a random 8 cost. If it hits the face, you win.
What happens when it gets a random high reek?
Ooh, we got some good 8 costs this expansion, right? So yeah, we should probably move on to those.
One of those is Storm Giant. I can't, dude. I can't. Storm Giant's an 8 mana 8/8 taunt that says forge costs 2 less. Can be forged endlessly.
Wow,
So
I love paying 2 mana so I can get a 2 mana discount.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like I guess this is meant to replace a hero powered turn when you don't have use for hero power in like priest or warrior, but that doesn't happen in our format in a way that makes sense to run this card.
Okay.
If this card was actually just taunt, every time you hero power reduces cost by 2. Can we get that instead? Can we just get rid of the forge thing?
But you get rid of the entire expansion mechanic, Corb. You can't do that.
Oh, well, actually have a playable Hearthstone card, maybe.
You can't do that either. What are you doing? These are neutrals. They can't be playable.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Can we save the best for last? Let's talk about Kologarn, which is an 8 mana 6/10. I'm gonna warn you guys in advance. Reading the card does not really help me understand this card. Okay. It's an 8 mana 6/10 with Rush. Whenever this attacks a minion, put it into your hand. I don't know if that's the minion or this.
The minion you attack.
The minion you attack. Okay. Death Rattle, move any in your hand to your opponents. So like, you play this, you attack a minion. Does it even do the damage to this?
No,
doesn't even do damage to this thing.
Whenever.
So then it just like puts the top minion in your hand, and then if they ever kill this, they get those minions back, but into their hand instead of the board.
It's 8 mana neutral sap.
But 8 mana neutral sap that gets you value, and it can be a 6/10 the following turn as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of so funny to me. This is the card where I like read it and instantly was like, oh, okay, I know what this does. And then there'll be another card that just says like the word taunt on it, and I'll be all confused.
Yeah, there'll be a card that says magnetic death rattle, summon a random 8 cost minion, and you very clearly won't have any idea what it does. And then this one you just get it right away.
Reading and evaluating cards, both incredibly difficult. But I think evaluating this one is pretty straightforward. I don't think Kologarn is very good.
No. It's great off a containment unit though. And
Do we like this in Big Shaman, Big Paladin? I'm not gonna say Big Freeze, but no.
No, it's not an actual threat. It's just a thing.
It's just removal. Like it's a repetitive removal tool, but I don't think that's what the any of those decks really want or need.
All right, so we've done it. We've made it through all the neutrals and like 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 classes.
Yep.
So we're like halfway
we did
there.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, today
halfway
was very productive.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we actually got through 5 classes in neutrals a lot faster than I was expecting. So good
Yeah,
job,
we
team.
shit on a lot of cards. That was great.
Yeah, it's easy when when the cards are the ones that we looked at today. Yeah.
All right. To be fair, we did talk about Ancient Totem today, and that is, I think, by far the strongest card in the set. So.
There
They're
are
not
Titans.
Titans.
There are
Yeah,
Titans
they're
in this
still
format.
Titans.
Yeah.
I think
my
it's
bad.
good that they revealed the Titans first to get people hyped.
All right. So I'm gonna refrain from asking you guys kind of long-term opinions because you kind of already gave them, but we also still have half the set to reveal. So I'm gonna ask you guys: excitement level higher or lower than it was last week?
Still probably about the same. Honestly, as much as I've given some of these cards a hard time, there are a lot of things that I look at and I say that, well, that's fun. I can't wait to play with that. Like the stars align. Are you kidding me? That's like an energy shaper, but backwards. I'm really looking forward to that. So there are a lot of silly things in this expansion that I'm looking forward to. And then the Titans still do look very powerful. And as much as I don't think that the Plague deck will be a good deck in Wild, I think it will be fun to try out and play. So I don't know. I'm still pretty excited for the set.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking the most exciting deck that I want to try is Treant Druid. So things are looking very dire in the Corbett household. Yeah, I don't know. Mechs and totems, that seems to be the big thing that's gotten support so far from the neutrals. The majority of cards don't seem very playable. That's dicey. So yeah, I would say not that excited. That said, my relationship with Wild is very much changing. More and more, where I'm kind of just eyeing off and waiting to see this just super stupid broken thing, and then that'll get me hyped up. So there's always
Razor
time. Or containment unit, yes. Either one.
No, I am excited to see the rest of the cards. I think my hype is still high. I think because I'm still riding the high of the Titans and the high of Corb being high on Astral Automaton, and the good old laugh that we got out of that. So I think still gonna ride that until next week at least.
I think that the sets. Death Knight kind of didn't really get that much of a set, but that's expected for Wild, right? Death Knight, most expansions isn't going to get anything. But then the preset is a little bit all over the place. The Rogue set is bad and a little all over the place. So I don't know if it's the classes that we've had so far, because we have had Death Knight. But majority right now feels like it's very low impact. The Titans are pretty cool though, and we'll just have to wait and see what else we get, because I don't know if the biggest impact of the expansion is mech decks and totems get better. That's that's dicey.
Nobody wants that,
except for the robots in the mechs in Wild Ladder, because
the robots and the robots.
Yeah, exactly. No, appreciate you guys that listen all the way to the end. Let us know down in the comments what your favorite cards are from the ones that have been revealed so far. I also just realized that we missed a Hunter card, but that's okay because that card's not very good. But it's okay. Let us know down in the comments your favorite cards. And as part of this, for those of you guys that listen all the way to the end, you guys get a little bit of a surprise. We are giving away some bundles, some bundles courtesy of Blizzard. So first of all, shout outs to them. Thanks for giving us stuff. Expansion after expansion. But all you got to do, leave your favorite card down in the comments and then fill out that little form that's going to be in the pinned message. Takes 2 seconds to do and enters you into some giveaways. We'll be giving them out next Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you guys fill out everything before then. Wanted to leave that until the very end to thank all of you guys that listen all the way in. So appreciate you guys. And speaking of Roffle and Core, appreciate you guys as well. Thanks for joining me week after week. Let the people know where they can find you guys and your content.
You can find streams on both Twitch and YouTube, and YouTube videos every day.
And you can always find me on Twitch at Corbett or Corbettgames on Twitter and YouTube.
You guys can find me on Get Meowth on all those platforms. Appreciate all of you guys. Again, they'll listen all the way to the end. And we'll see you guys again next week for even more card reviews. Later.